Ciao, jewelry making friends. My name is Joey Balistreri. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. This is the most exciting day of the month when one of the bead boxes comes in, and it is a delicious box this month. I'm like a little girl. I heard the mail truck and I stopped everything that I was doing and ran out to get the mail. So the bargain bead box for the month of March is here, and it is titled Seafoam Surprise. Look at this deliciousness, you guys. It is amazing. It just like gives me a little bit of a head rush. I'm so excited to share it with you. So I unboxed everything and I'm going to go as quickly as I can through it, but it is wonderful. And I have to say, a lot of times immediately when I open a box, I know exactly what I'm going to make, but my head is all over the place because this is really, really beautiful. So it is entitled Seafoam Surprise, and their description is spot on. Get ready for spring break. Vacation vibes abound with an array of Amazonite, including a top drilled teardrop focal, high quality 8mm rounds, and micro-faceted 3mm beads, plus a pair of faceted half drilled tops and a strand of matte flower Amazonite. In addition to all this blue-green beauty, you'll find frosted 10mm agate beads and sparkling crystals in peachy sunrise hues, plus antique copper findings with fun swirled motifs. So that is the little description, and it is spot on. So these are a thing that the founder of Bargain Bead Box included in a little video preview that she did, where it says top drilled, but it's actually not top drilled. It is an Amazonite faceted teardrop, but it is half drilled. So there's a little hole in there. I have an idea of something to do with this, but I'll play around with it before I present it to see if it's going to work. But you can also do like a glue-in bail with these, but I have another idea. But mine are quite different. I know some of you might have gotten these that the color is really matching and they might make a great pair of earrings. I wouldn't be able to do that with mine. So that's one of the things happening in my brain, is that I see a whole bunch of necklaces in this box, because we have this actual top drilled teardrop Amazonite pendant. So that is a necklace. Now these copper findings, these are absolutely gorgeous. This filigree, they're calling it a pendant, and they are very, very lightweight. So if you like earrings that are a little bit larger, these weigh nothing. I mean, it's kind of surprising how they feel in your hand. So this would make a great pair of earrings, but this screams pendant to me more than earrings. And then I am crazy about these lantern spacer beads. They're called ornate lantern spacer beads, and they are ornate, but also I do love that lantern shape. It is beautiful, and when you nestle it in between beads, it just looks great. And then we got some scroll bead caps. I already have quite a few of these in my stash. We got some my favorite lever back ear wires. They're not the interchangeable ones, but I love lever back ear wires. And we got a nice length, 1 meter of copper curb chain. And so, you know, that is so useful. You can never have enough of that. We got some toggle clasps. We got 3 sets of toggle clasps. We got some copper eye pins, and I am crazy about these. These are scrolled chandelier links or connectors. I'm crazy about them. When I was unboxing, I was looking, they can actually go this way or they can go this way. And I see a bracelet in my future with these. This is, I think, one of my favorite things in the box so far. I really, really love those. And I am crazy about these. I honestly think this is my favorite bead in the box. These are faceted drop beads, and they're called marble mint. Look at that cool shape. So what I think I'm going to do, at least for a bracelet, is put them back to back with maybe even one of these lantern beads or something in the middle to make a focal with these. I love the shape. I love the faceting. I love the color. These are absolutely beautiful. That's probably my favorite bead in the box, although it's hard to pick a favorite. And then I did not cut these from the strand. These are the 8mm flower Amazonite matte round beads that were in the description. And honestly, you guys, I know when you get your box, if you don't have it already, you are going to love the way these feel. They feel like, I don't even know, satin. They're just beautiful, and I love the color variations in these. I mean, look at that one right there. It's almost like a translucent mint, and then there's all these shades of green, and then going into like the palest color. I mean, this is a stunning strand of gemstone beads. And the other gemstone, I know I'm jumping around on my mat, but I'm like a child in a candy store because I'm looking here and there. They're just all so beautiful. These are dyed and heated agate beads, and they are just have so many variations. I mean, look at this one. It's like, I have one that's super bright orange. They're just beautiful. I just love them. And look at this one. I can see it's almost like a little cave in there. It's so beautiful. I just love when I can see inside the stone like that. So beautiful. And then I actually love to have crystals to work with. These are 8x6mm crystal faceted rondelle beads, and it's called a peaches and cream mix. So this is exactly the color of the year. Like this bead here is like our peach fuzz color of the year. So you can mix the opaque with the more clear, and I love the creamy white color that's in there. I mean, what a fabulous strand of crystals. And look how long it is. I mean, that is a very long strand of beads. It doesn't even say how long the strand is. It might say on the insert, but that is fabulous. And I am crazy about this too. These are 8mm Amazonite round beads, and we got 7.5-inch strand of that. They just feel so good against your skin. They're absolutely stunning. I love them. And then I'm just going to keep these in my hand because we also got these 3mm Amazonite faceted round beads, and we got a 15-inch strand of these. And I'm just a look at that. This could just make a piece that is gemstone rich and just saturated with this beautiful Amazonite color. And that may end up, I actually don't have any idea what my first project is going to be, which is unusual for me because usually by the time I've unboxed, I know. But I love everything. I just don't even know what to say. It's so beautiful. I love all of it. And we got a bonus item in this month's box, which is this little copper pinch bail. Mine needs to be straightened out a bit, but if you wanted to do that on your drop, and it looks like I need to get pliers to open mine a little bit, but you just put it right inside the hole and then close it, and you have a pendant, a ready-made pendant. So that was a nice little bonus. Our 17th item was that little bonus. Let's see, did I miss anything because I was jumping all around? So this month's box has a value of $89.94, and there were 17 items, including that free bonus pinch bail in antique copper. So this is a fabulous box. I am going to cut open some of these strands because I find that I design better and have more ideas when I release the beads from their little strands and cords, and sort of clean up and get some direction. And I will be right back to do a little project. And if you are not subscribed to the Bargain Bead Box, I will put my link in the description box. You can get a discount off of your first box, and it is, I cannot say enough about this box. It's just, if you make jewelry, I just don't know how you can live without the Bargain Bead Box coming to you every month, because for the price, I say this every month, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they give you all of these findings, how they give you 17 items of gemstones and crystals and pendants. I just don't know how they do it for the price. It's just not to be missed if you're a jewelry maker. So I'll leave my code below if you are not subscribed, and you can use that to start getting the box and get a discount from your first box. So I'll be right back after I clean everything up, and we'll make something. I have organized myself and played around with really my favorite things in the box. These 3mm Amazonite faceted little micro faceted beads are just stunning, and I love these little gumdrop looking like mint beads, and these are just feel like satin glass in my hands. But I did go into my stash and pull out a few things that I felt I would need. I have some 8/0 copper seed beads, and the reason is this is going to be a necklace, but we only got 15 inches of this bead here, and that's too short for me. So I'm going to need to extend that somehow. So I'm going to create some kind of a pattern and extend this length with these seed beads and maybe even a few of these. They're quite a bit larger, but you know, I'm kind of famous for my bead stations, so I'll see when I start stringing how I feel about that. And the funny thing is, I actually started out to make a bracelet, but I think I'm all over the place because with this box there are so many possibilities. And what's funny about design is there are so many pendant options in this box, and here I am making my own pendant. I actually had 2 of these out to start creating a bracelet, and don't ask me how it metamorphosed into a pendant, but I'm going to use just one of these for the pendant. And then from the Bead Box Bargains, which is the sister website to Bargain Bead Box, I have these spacer bars. I have had them in my stash for a long time, so I did not check to see if they are still available on the website. But if you're going to try to make this and you don't already have something similar, there's a good place to start searching. So this is a little copper 6. I don't remember if I got 2 sets but there was a lot in my bag. But it's a 6-hole spacer bar with a little bumpy edge, and it's in like an antique copper. And I took those out and started to play with them, and I came up with this little pendant idea. So I have 2 lengths of 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to create a little stack here, and then this part is going to be a stringing project, which is going to go on some of this copper color metallics from Softflex. It's a medium 26-pound bead stringing wire. And so what I did is I cut a length that is about 26 inches long, and this is fully adjustable, this part of the necklace that's going to go around the neck. I just like longer necklaces, so if you're a person that likes an 18-inch necklace, you know, this 15-inch strand with a few little spacer items might be perfect for you, but I'm going to lengthen it with this. And so this bit will be a stringing project. The pendant I think I will create first, because it may be a little challenging. I do have my nylon jaw pliers here. I'm going to straighten these 2 little lengths of wire as straight as I can. And I'm also going to use my 1.5mm one-step looper, because I really want uniform loops, because my attachment at the top of this thing that I'm creating might be a little tricky. I didn't do a sketch, and that sometimes helps me to work out my design. So I haven't totally figured out how I'm going to do this at the top, but I can go ahead and start to make this pendant. So I'm going to use my 1.5mm one-step looper, and if you've never used this before, you can push this all the way through this hole in the back. And sometimes when you already have beads strung on, you need to do that, but that is a huge waste of wire. You don't have to do that as long as that little piece of wire is underneath the mandrel, and you can close it a little bit without putting pressure on it to see. You just need to make sure you have enough wire here for the tool to wrap it around that mandrel, so that way you don't waste wire. And so this tool is fabulous. It wraps and cuts your simple loop all in one step. And so let me show you. That is the tiny little piece of waste. I don't even know where it went, and then while it's still in the tool, my trick to center the loop on the wire is just to pull it down, and then I can use my fingers or nylon jaw pliers to kind of warm the wire and straighten the wire before I remove it from the tool. So sometimes you don't quite get it right, and you can see that one is just a little offset, but for me, it's no big deal. This tool really saves my hand from the twisting motion of making loops to deal with arthritis pain in my wrist and hand. It really saves me. And on a simple loop, most of the time you're going to open and close it anyway, so it's really not a big deal if you don't get it spot on. And so kind of the idea here is I have taken 3 of these little 6-hole spacer bars, and I am going to thread them. Let's see, I did work this out. I'm not going to use obviously all 6 holes, but I think I am going to put this wire through the 2nd hole from the end and just get that little stack on there. And let me go ahead and get my little simple loop in this side too, and I'll stack together. So do that again, just push the wire in and leave enough space for the tool to wrap it around that little mandrel. And there's the little tiny piece of waste. Close the tool and just bend that wire, straighten it while it's still in the tool. You have a good grip on it, and that loop is perfect. It matches the other one exactly, and I did not stress my hand. I love my one-step looper. I've been using it for a really long time. I make a lot of jewelry, and when the pain in my hand starts to flare up, I have to stop making jewelry. So I do everything that I can to keep that from happening because I don't want to stop making jewelry. And so what I'm going to do is go to the 2nd to the last hole on the opposite side of the spacer bar and thread that on. So I'm really creating my own pendant-like component. And then I'm going to put one of these little gumdrop beads facing down, another one facing down, and then I sort of wanted to try something in here. I have these little copper spacers from my stash, but I'm not sure. They are really pretty. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do copper on copper, but let me see how it looks. Since I didn't do a sketch or work this out ahead of time, it's kind of design on the fly. So it's not really showing up very much because it's copper on copper. So let's try one of the seed beads. They're a little bit brighter. That may, I don't know if that will make much of a difference, but I'll try it. And these seed beads are so funny. I have had these in my stash for a really long time. And when I go for a copper seed bead, I always pull them out. And then when I go to show you what I'm using, it says bronze on this tube. But I took some bronze ones out and these look copper. So I don't know if that is just the color of them or if it's a misprint, but anyway, to my eye, they are copper. And I am also using, instead of an antique copper wire, I'm using a 20 gauge bright copper wire that has the anti-tarnish coating on it. And oh, I quite like that. Never underestimate the power of a seed bead. Look at that. They just look like so much more than just a little 8/0 seed bead. So I love that. It just gives a little bit of space, kind of lifting that bar from the bead, and you see the shape of the bead a lot better. Oh, I love that. So simple. Seed beads can be really powerful in jewelry making, and I think sometimes that a jewelry maker who is not a bead weaver will not use seed beads and not reach for them, thinking that, you know, it's a bead weaving supply. But look at that. It's beautiful, and it just does, sometimes that little small bead can do a lot of heavy lifting in your design. So I'm big proponent of using seed beads, and they're inexpensive, and like what I'm going to do with them, it's a great way to extend the length of a gemstone bead if you don't have quite enough. So look at that beautiful pendant. So now I am going to make a simple loop on both of these. Now I won't lie, this can be a little challenging to hold on to everything to get that tool in there, but forget about the one you're not working on. It doesn't matter if this backs out, it's in my hand, and I'm just going to concentrate on this top one, and I am not even going to concern myself with the direction of the loop. it doesn't matter. I can take my pliers and fix it afterwards. And remember, it's wire, so if it bends a little bit to get in here, then you can straighten it up afterwards. Now my wire won't be exactly where I need it because I have all of these beads down here in the way, but I'm going to just do the best that I can and pull away what it has cut and just do my normal movements, just pull that down to kind of center the loop. It does a really great job. Look at that. It does a really great job. So I can straighten up this loop. I just want to, it's actually pretty straight, but I'll put my pliers to it. So now I can focus on getting this loop on the bottom. For me, this tool makes even making a little bit of a complicated component like this just easier than if I had to do it by hand, plus it saves my hand. So I'm just going to repeat that same thing. I can see that my wire is a little bit far back on this mandrel than where I would normally put it. So that loop, I'm pretty sure I knew it would be. I knew by the way I put it in the tool, I've used it enough that that would be a little bit off, but again, my loop is in there, and now I can come in with my pliers and tidy everything up. This is a little funny component. It's a little bit hard to hold on to. It's twisting, but I love the process of jewelry making. So I rarely get frustrated with something. And if I do, I just get up and take a break. So I'm just going to take a moment and get my second pair of pliers in here and line up those loops. Let me get this one. This one I can see is off a little bit as well. And so I have this funky little component, but I love the way that it showcases the beads. Now, this next little piece has only one connection, so I am going to go, how am I going to do this? I'm going to go right in this middle hole with a ball head pin. Let's see if I have an extra one here. I have these copper ball head pins, the same ones that I used to create the drops, and I've already designed them, and we will do the last one together, but it's quite simple. I don't think you really even need to see me do it because it's just, I'm going to use my one-step looper and make a simple loop on it. So I have a little copper ball head pin, and what I'm going to do is feed that down through that very middle hole and just kind of wiggle it into place. And I am going to use my one-step looper again and put a little loop in there. You know, on this I may actually just do it with my pliers. I like the uniformity that I get with the one-step looper, but on a thing like this it may be a little challenging to get it in there. Let me see if I can do it. No, I got it. I got it. And then I have uniformity. I will have to close that one a little bit, but I love it. And really you could even wait to do this because, as I said, we're going to open and close this anyway for our little pendant that we're making. But there I have, that way when I use the one-step looper, all three of my loops on the bottom here are exactly the same. That looks great. And I could have even done this way because I'm looking at the spacing on this component, but I kind of wanted, let me see, I may actually flip this around. Let me just play for a moment. I could do that and then still hang these from the top or even put a jump ring in there. I may do that last after everything is strung because I see a few options here for connecting my drops. I had planned to leave those plain, connect that, and have this long drop here and then this one here. That was my plan. We can go ahead and make this one. I simply stacked one of those matte beads, one of my own little spacers, another gumdrop bead, and I just capped it off with a single bead cap from the box and did the same thing on this one. And I'm going to do the same exact thing, just put that ball head pin all the way through the hole on the back of the one-step looper and get this. This is you know, a metal bead cap. If I were working with a crystal or something else, I might back it off of this edge just like a millimeter, but with this metal being there, I can just slowly close the tool, take away the excess, and I just like to bend it back out of the jaw of the tool as I slowly close, and that way I can see that I've got everything straight. And when I take that away, I have a perfect little simple loop. I love my one-step looper. I can sit and bead an entire chain and not have pain in my hand afterwards, so it's really great. I'm going to put away these little spacer bars. I just wanted to show you what they were in case you were trying to make this and didn't have something similar. You might be able to still find those. Okay, so now this is a simple stringing project. So I'm going to bring in my 26 or so inches of this copper wire and really just create a pattern. And if you wanted to, I'm reaching behind me for a little bead stopper. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and attach your toggle or your clasp. And I think I am going to use this lovely bronze one that came in the box. But I'm going to just, since I'm not certain of my pattern, I'm going to just put a stopper on this end. Because that way, as I'm stringing, if I need to change something, add or detract, and I want to access my stringing, then I don't have to, you know, take everything off one end. So if you're not certain of your beading pattern or your length, that's a little trick, is not to crimp off one end. So let me see how I want to start. And you know what? I'm going to move this little component, most of the way done component, over here, and I have already cut my little gemstones, and I'm going to see, I may want to string a few of them at a time. And so I'm just literally going to start stringing and come up with a pattern, and I will do most of this off camera because it's, you know, like watching grass grow to watch someone sit and string little beads. But I do need to extend this by quite a few inches. So I am, let's see, but I really love the look of these gemstones together. So let me see how 5 of them look. And then one of my little copper seed beads. So this is, if you have to string small beads, you can hold them in line, and like I'm going to grab 5 all at once. And the holes should still be lined up, and it can save you some time with your stringing process to have them like that. Of course, it's not working. There's 4, and there's my 5th one. You can also pick them up with the wire, but oh, that little, this is what I mean about the power of a seed bead. That little copper seed bead looks like so much more than what it is in between those gems, and it is such a great way to extend length when you need length, and not an expensive way either. That is one of my tips and tricks. So I'm going to continue stringing. I think I may try to add some of these in. I wish these were 6mm. That would make me a lot happier. But I'm going to play with my bead pattern. So I'll pause the camera here and I will meet you back. So I am checking in, and I'm so happy with the way this is turning out. So let me show you what my pattern is first. So I ended up doing a single copper seed bead and then 5 gemstones, then 3 copper seed beads and 5 gemstones, and then I went back to 1, 5, 3, 5, 1, and then I made these little stations with these 8mm beads and just flanked them by a copper seed bead. And I continued all the way until about the middle of my length of wire. And then I thread my wire right through those top simple loops on the pendant slash component that I made. So I just had to work out my spacing and just kind of make this a focal. So I came up with 3 of the copper seed beads, and then 4 of those faceted gemstones fit in between those 2 simple loops. And now I am ready to just continue stringing the other side to match this side. So I ended up with 2 of those 8mm beads in there. And as I said, I wish they were 6. They're a little bit larger than I would like, but I think they're really pretty. And this is going to be a little bit bigger, and I have dangles, so it adds a little bit of the right scale and size up in the strung part of the necklace. So I'm thrilled with the way this is looking, and I think I have extended my length and will have enough gemstones to finish. And I've saved out my 2 beads for my bead stations up this side. And so that is where I'm going. Now, when I get my length all strung, then I will decide on exactly how I'm going to attach these little drops and dangles that I made, but it's turning out great. So I'm going to keep stringing and I'll meet you back. I have finished stringing, and I absolutely love this necklace. It has turned out just beautifully. And so while I was on pause, I went ahead and crimped. Let me set this down. I've taken my bead stopper off, so I don't want to lose my stringing. But I have crimped this end with my magical crimping plier and a copper number 2 crimp tube. And I did finish off my stringing with 3 of my seed beads, because my bead stringing wire feeds right back down through those seed beads. And I just think it looks nicer if it's possible not to cut up here near the crimp bead. So it gives you this nice finished look, and that copper metallics soft flex wire just matches the copper so beautifully. It's like a nice seamless little closure. So you will not believe this. It's absolutely incredible, because I didn't plan it. This is a 15-inch strand of this faceted little micro faceted Amazonite. I ended up with literally 1 bead left with my pattern, my bead stringing pattern. And my decorating background always has me looking at things in odd numbers, because in flower arranging or decorating bookshelves, we always would do odd numbers. And so that's how I came about the 5 beads and the 3 beads all throughout my pattern. And it left me with literally 1 little bead. So what I did is took another one of these little ball head pins in copper. I do not want to have to restring. And I just use some of the same elements, some of these little spacers, some of those little copper seed beads, and I just am making a tiny little dangle, and I'm going to wire wrap this, and just as a little professional touch hanging from my clasp. You can also do something like this if you're going to put an extender chain on a piece, but I'm not going to do an extender chain on this. But we did get curb chain in the box, so if you're trying to do a version of this, that's an option. We do have chain and a couple of options there. So I think I've made another decision about my pendant, but let's go ahead and crimp this side off together. I am going to feed on that little copper crimp tube and make my loop and go back down through that tube and feed that wire through those first 3 little seed beads. They work really well to draw the wire away from the crimp tube so that you can trim it off, and it just has a better look. Get my pliers to help me with the pulling. And so when you're crimping on the first end, you just crimp, make the loop the way that you want it, and just crimp. But now on this end, there's a couple of things to pay attention to. I want to match this loop to the same size as this end, and I don't want my necklace to be rigid. So I am going to make sure that I'm not crimping while my strung beads are in a straight line, but I also want to check and make sure that there's no unwanted spaces or gaps which can sometimes happen when you're stringing a piece. This looks really good. It looks like it's going to be nice and fluid, and I don't see any gaps. I always find that it's best to go slow and enjoy the process, which sometimes is hard when you've done a lot of stringing, especially of small beads, because this is the exciting part and you want to get done and put your clasp on and see how it looks. But it's best to really go slow so that you don't come to this point and make a horrible mistake. So it looks really good. I am pretty happy with that, and I'm going to put my magical crimping plier over that tube. And be careful if you guys are doing this, because if you close down on one of your copper seed beads, you can break it. It's a little glass bead, and you know, you would end up having to restring or have a big gap there. So I'm pretty happy. I've checked and I have pinched the 4 corners of that tube, and now I'll turn it sideways and close down again, and now just go around, keep going around with my tube in that little well that's in this plier. You can either turn the plier or turn your work, whatever's easiest, it doesn't matter. And I just keep going until I don't feel any resistance, until it feels like I'm just opening and closing the plier for nothing. And when you take it away, you have this stunning, perfect little bead. And now I like trimming off down here away from where my clasp is going to be. I just think it looks nicer. And all I have to do is get some jump rings and put this clasp on. And I can go ahead and quickly do a little wire wrapped loop on this little dangle. It just adds such a beautiful, professional, like a, you know, it's like a piece you would see in a boutique. I am really, really in love with this. And as I said, I was kind of all over the place about what to make with these beads, because there's so many possibilities, and I'm still going to do a bracelet. But, you know, sometimes some of the best things are unplanned, and this is definitely in that category. But I'm so thrilled with the way it's looking. And I think once I put the drops that I've created on the front, I think it's going to be really gorgeous. Just always tuck in my cut ends. So I have this really sweet, tiny little charm to go with my toggle when I attach that. And so what I think that I've decided to do, as beautiful as this is, and as I said, I started out to make bracelet with this, and then I moved to this. But I think that on this little loop, I think this is never going to lay right. I think this is going to always be kind of spinning like that. So I've gone back to my little component drops that I made, because if I attach them, there is no front or back, and as these spin around, they look good because they're, you know, they're full circle. And so I think what I have decided to do is simply attach those, and that be my drop / focal pendant. And I think that's going to make me happy, and I'm going to do another project with those. So let's get them attached. And you could do really small jump rings here, but I did these simple loops, and since this component is a little bit of a concoction, I think I'm also going to just make sure that everything is closed really well, since when you're creating a pendant like this, some areas can be a little difficult to get your pliers in. This is the fun part. It's so exciting. So exciting when you've done all that stringing and made all those decisions along the way, and you come to your finished piece, especially when you're really happy with it. And I am. I think this is stunning. There's a simplicity to it and a complication all at the same time for me. Oh yeah, I love that. I think that is absolutely perfection. That makes me super happy. I mean, I could see me wearing this all summer. I love it. I love the pattern. I love all the beads. I kind of pulled out my very favorite things from the box, and I just think it's unique and stunning, and I love the movement. Okay, stop looking at my creation and grab some jump rings. I'm going to use some really small copper jump rings. Get 3 of them out and put my, there's really not even a front or back to this. These bars are, you know, have the decoration all the way around. These little drops are full circle, so that is really nice for adding the clasp. You can just simply attach it without needing to pay any attention to which side things are on. Let me get my pliers there and add that, and then I was thinking that I would attach that right to the toggle, but I did get out a jump ring. I think I might go ahead and put it on a separate jump ring just so that it has a little bit more freedom of movement, because these jump rings are really tiny. And you know, I always try to keep in mind, like the scale, since I'm using these 3mm beads here, I try to keep in mind the scale and not get too huge with my jump ring there. So it's kind of unobtrusive, and it has a seamless transition from the stringing part to the toggle part. So I think I will add another jump ring and add that beautiful little charm. It's so sweet. It's so small, but it's just such a beautiful, look how beautiful that little detail is. It looks fabulous. I'm probably going to wear this all summer long. And I love copper. And I'm actually going to Venice Beach this week to visit family and go to a bead shop, and hopefully I'll be able to do a video for all of you and kind of show you my travels and treasures that I find. So this gorgeous piece is done. This is, I guess I would classify this as boho beach chic, I guess. I love it. I think it's so stunning, absolutely stunning. So as always, I will put some pictures up at the end so you can see how this beautiful piece hangs. And I thank you so much for watching, for choosing my video today. And if you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate that. It doesn't cost you anything or obligate you to anything. And don't forget to check the description box underneath the video. Tap more. You'll find links to my tools, to a discount for Bargain Bead Box, which I could not recommend enough if you are not already getting it. And I've also been asking the last few videos, I'll put my email in the description box as well, so that if you all have little furry friends helping you with your jewelry making, I would love to see a picture of your little cats and dogs and know their names, and I'm going to try to start putting some of those up at the end of my videos for the community to enjoy. So if you have a moment to send me a picture of your little helpers, that would be so lovely. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope everybody's having fun on their beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends.